Hello and welcome to this lesson, which is called Mindfully or Mindlessly. So what we'll cover today, what is mindful eating, hunger and fullness cues, how to start eating more mindfully, and how to practice mindfulness. So what is mindful eating? Basically, it's paying attention while you are eating, so, not eating mindlessly. And it's not about what you're eating, but rather about how you're eating. So mindful eating branches off from mindfulness, a form of meditation. Now, I touched on this in week 3 in the lesson called Stress and Sleep Hygiene. So just to recap, mindfulness or being mindful is most commonly defined as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So I'll say that again. Paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. Now, mindfulness and associated practices such as mindful eating is also the most well-studied in health research and appears promising for stress reduction, weight loss, maybe even gut health, and influencing the balance of healthy gut bacteria. It's likely to do that through the gut-brain axis, or more specifically the vagus nerve. So mindful eating is a simple concept, but in practice it's not that easy. We were born intuitive eaters, so we knew when we were hungry and we stopped eating when we were full. But over time we've been trained out of listening to our body and the cues or signals it gives us. So by practicing mindful eating, this can help to control emotional eating, binge eating and overeating, remove the guilt and shame around food so you can enjoy food again, and helps you to be more in touch with your body's internal hunger and fullness cues. So what are the hunger and fullness cues? These are signs our body gives us when we are hungry and when we have had enough to eat. Now, we are born with these cues, and they develop as we grow older, right? It is often referred to as intuition or intuitive eating. So basically, there are 3 hunger hormones, leptin, ghrelin, and insulin. Now, leptin and insulin suppress or reduce our feelings of hunger, and ghrelin drives our hunger, okay? So basically, the main signal the stomach sends is through baroreceptors or pressure sensors in the stomach. These signal, when you eat until you're full. So once food is beginning to be broken down and your body detects, the food there, and it gets a spike in glucose and fats and proteins, and detects these pressure sensors, then your hunger starts to fade. But it does take 20 or 30 minutes until all of this happens. It's why you can be full yet still hungry. Like, you've eaten a lot, but you can still eat more. There's kind of the delay there. Now, the problem with processed foods as well, or like foods with concentrated calories, like fruit juices and oil, is that they don't have as many non-calorie properties as whole food, like water, fiber, and micronutrients. So processed foods, they don't trigger the pressure sensors, they don't activate the pressure sensors as quickly or easily as whole foods. And so we can easily consume a large amount of calories when eating these processed foods before they actually start to trigger, the signals up to the brain that, hey, we've had enough nutrients and calories. Whereas whole foods can trigger these quicker, so you're ultimately going to eat fewer calories. So as we grow older, we're actually trained out of being able to read or listen to our hunger and fullness cues over time. So are you hungry all the time? Some of your hunger is likely true physical hunger, but perhaps there is some emotional hunger going on there too. Now, in the previous lesson about emotional eating, I go into more detail about the difference between physical and emotional hunger. Now, you can go back to that lesson for more information. And are you never hungry? Could this be because you are so used to overriding your hunger and fullness cues from years of dieting? Could this be because you are eating too often for your body to get hungry? Could you be misreading your body's cues? Very likely. For example, one person's hunger cues could be a grumbling stomach, whereas another person's hunger cues could be a shaky hand, or maybe a change in mood from pleasant to irritable, like we say, hangry. So next time you're looking for food in the kitchen, stop and ask yourself if it is real hunger or perceived hunger. And a trick I like to do is think of a fruit that you enjoy. For me, I like apples, pink lady apples in particular. If I'm actually hungry, I will want to eat an apple. It will be appealing to me. I will see the apple and I'll be like, yes, I want to eat that. If I'm not actually hungry and I just have these cravings, or I think I might be hungry, even, especially after I've eaten a meal recently, and I look at the apple, it doesn't appeal to me at all. And that's when I know it's not actually real hunger, but perceived hunger that I'm experiencing. So try that one out. So how to start eating more mindfully? Well, the first thing to do is to remove distractions while you eat. There's no way you can pay attention to what you're doing if you're distracted reading your emails or seeing what's in your newsfeed, or watching TV, of course. Try to at least start your meals with a mindful bite, or stick to eating mindfully for one meal or snack to start with. Like your morning coffee, what's it taste like? Is it smooth? Is it sweet? Is it bitter? Is it cold or hot? Be curious about the experience and how it makes you feel. Tune into your senses, the taste, texture, smell, flavor. Now, following on from that slide, here are some more questions you can ask yourself to prompt your curiosity during the mindful eating process. What questions or thoughts arise as you eat? Now, don't judge your thoughts, just acknowledge that they are there. You're feeling overwhelmed? Come back to self-compassion, which we talked about in the Platinum Rule. What would you say to a loved one if they were in your situation? Be kind to yourself. This is not easy to do. It can feel silly as well, but it gets easier, becomes more normal. Are you noticing that you are enjoying your meal? Yes or no? Why or why not? Have you had enough to eat? Are you still actually hungry? Do you need to finish the rest? Don't forget to practice self-compassion, the Platinum Rule. If you haven't watched it, make sure you go back and watch that lesson. Now, these questions are available as a worksheet if you want to download and or print it out to have them handy with you. So how often should you practice mindfulness? Basically as often as realistically possible. So certainly at least once a day, for as much or as little as realistically possible. Focus on progress, not perfection. And there are no shortcuts. This will take time. So make sure you take note of your progress. Practice self-compassion, again, the Platinum Rule. And by doing this, over time, you will develop the skills it takes to become a truly mindful eater. And at this point, food becomes even more enjoyable than it already is. It may not seem possible, but that's how it works. Lastly, as I mentioned in week 3, the best way to start with mindfulness is the Headspace app. Now it's free to use. You can use it free for a 10-day introductory course all about mindfulness. And that's about mindfulness as a concept, but you can easily apply that to mindful eating, right? Now, mindfulness is not woo-woo stuff, This is clinically proven to help with stress. And as a run-on effect, it appears to help with weight loss and gut health as well. Super important for our health. Okay, so to recap, we looked at the premise of mindful eating, how our hunger and fullness cues work, right? They're delayed as well. There is a 20 to 30 minute delay depending on the type of food you ate. So consider that. We looked at how you can start eating more mindfully and the questions you can ask yourself, and how to practice mindfulness. And I'll leave you with this quote, okay? The mind is just like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets, and the more it can expand. Okay, that's all for this lesson. I'll see you in the next one.